what I say by yourself.
Good morning. So I'm going to tell a story, and it's going to be quite an antic story. So for those of you who haven't met me yet, and you're going to be wondering why is this guy even telling me this ridiculous story, bear with me. We'll get to it. So everybody here knows where Ford Parkway is, the old Ford plant in St. Paul along the river there? Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's start with the story. So I'm walking on the river. Now, I don't mean I'm walking along the river. I'm walking on the river, on the water, like Jesus. I'm on the water, walking on the water. And I look up, and I see this bright, silver, shiny, vintage World War II airplane flying at me. And John Travolta is flying this airplane. And he lands on the water. And it doesn't sink, he's on the water. He jumps through the windshield, and he's wearing this big Barney costume with no head. It's just him in the big purple Barney costume, John Travolta. He's got on the big glove. And he brings this huge joint up to his mouth and takes a hit and blows it in my face and says, "Welcome back, Kata." Well, at this point, I start sinking. And I look down, and I'm in cement boots. But I can see my tennis shoes, not high heels or dress shoes, but tennis shoes in these cement boots. And I'm sinking. And so I turn to run, and I can't run because I'm wearing cement boots. And a tree from the bank of the river falls down out to me, and I'm able to grab onto this tree and drag myself up onto this tree. Well, at this point, a big Beethoven-type St. Bernard, you know those dogs with the little wooden flask of rum, comes running out on the tree and grabs me by the neck and drags me along the tree to the shore and drops me in a giant cat litter box. The end. So, Brett, who was driving the airplane?
John Travolta.
And Tony, what was John wearing? That's right. And Arnie, what did John Travolta do once he got out of the plane and greeted me?
Smoking some bad stuff.
Smoking some bad stuff. And Alex, where was I? What was I doing? You don't remember? How about you? Do you remember?
Yeah, walking down the river, on the river by the Ford plant.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to take the story and I'm going to set it up over here on the side for a second. We're going to come back to that. So the night before this all happened, my wife says to me, "Hey, can you meet me tomorrow at Baker Square over by the Ford plant? We're going to have dinner with your mom. And then she's going to watch the girls when you and I go hang out." Sure. She goes, "Can you remember to bring their toy airplane and that Barney DVD that they left in their car?" Absolutely, I can do that. And then also reminded me, I have a friend at work who was asking about some treatment documentation that I had for a chemical treatment program, and so I promised him that I would bring it the next day, so I got to remember that too. And then I also remember my wife said, "Hey, I want to go for a walk along the river. It's fall colors, blah, blah, blah. Bring your tennis shoes." Absolutely, I'll bring my tennis shoes. And then I got a phone call from my brother, because we went fishing the week before, and he said, "Hey, I heard you going to Mom's. Can you grab my fishing pole? I left it at your house." Gotta remember his fishing pole. He's been nagging me for weeks about this. So I want to make sure I grab that fishing pole. I'm going to leave it at my mom's house. And then as I was leaving, my daughter called and said, "Hey, you know, we're out of dog food, and we need cat litter. You've been hounding me to do the cat box for the last 2 days. I need cat litter. So I got to swing by the store and pick these things up." So I got to remember the DVD. I got to remember the airplane. Obviously, I got to remember to meet my wife. I got to remember this pamphlet from my friend. I got to remember my tennis shoes, fishing pole, cat litter, and dog food. So these are the list of things that I have to remember. Does anybody not see the connection between the story and the things that I have to remember? Okay, good. So years ago when I was in college, I was delivering pizzas, and you get tired of listening to the same radio station, same songs every night, right? So I swung by the library and I got Kevin Trudeau's Mega Memory on tape. It was like 15 tapes, and this was one of 5 techniques that I learned to remember things. One of 5, and it's the idea is to come up with the most crazy, outlandish stories, right? And so another very interesting technique is to take a list of items. So you come up with a bucket list, your own bucket list, and you keep this bucket list with you for the rest of your life, okay? And once you get this bucket list, so here's an example of a bucket list. I'm going to use my body. So I'm gonna use my body to come up with what I'm gonna call my body bucket list. I'm gonna start at the bottom and work my way up to the top. I got my feet, my knees, my stomach, my hands, and my head. So feet, knees, stomach, hands, head. Okay, so I'm gonna keep that for the rest of my life. Number 1 is gonna be my feet. Number 2 is my knees. Number 3 is stomach. 4 hands. 5 is head. So if I need to remember something, if somebody comes to me, I want you to remember coffee cup. The first thing I want you to remember is coffee cup. Well, I need to bind coffee cup, this thing that I need to remember, to the first item on my bucket list. What's the first item on my bucket list, Tony? That's right. So I need to bind coffee cup to my feet. And it's got to be crazy. It's got to be outlandish. Like if I just admit, well, I just got a coffee cup sitting on my foot, I'm probably going to forget that. It's got to be crazy. Can somebody think of something crazy tying these two together? Can you think of something crazy?
Coffee cup shoes.
Coffee cup shoes, okay. All right, can somebody go bigger than that?
Feet in a piping hot cup of coffee.
Feet in a piping hot, okay, so maybe I step into a piping hot, burn my feet, okay. That's got a little sensation to it too, so that might help. Anything that you can do to bind these two together in a pretty outlandish way. I did this weekend with my 7-year-old daughter. And I said, you're going to remember 25 things here within the next 3 minutes. And we started in the living room. So we start in the living room and face the front wall. What do you see? I see a big window. Okay, big window's number 1. Now visualize, turn towards the TV. What do you see? Well, I see the TV. Okay, TV's number 2. Okay, now turn again. What do you see? Oh, there's a dining table back there. Okay, that's number 3. Turn over here. What do you see? The radiator. Okay, so the first 4 items for her for the rest of her life are window, TV, dining table, radiator. And then I said, okay, now go into my office. So she visualized walking over into my office and said, okay, face the front of the house. What do you see? I see a couch. Okay, couch. That's number 5. You guys tracking me? Is this making sense so far? So these are the techniques that I learned in this program called Mega Memory by Kevin Trudeau. And my call to action for you folks, and by the way, my memory is not any better than anyone's in here, is to go check it out. There's also a great segment on how to remember people's names. I used this one time. I met 35 people, and I remembered every one of their names when I walked out of the room. But it takes some effort. So thank you, and have a good day.